All right, here we are.
In my place.
At your place. I'm visiting because we're working on an episode that we've actually shot the last couple days, and I thought it'd be a good idea for us to at least shoot something for our Patreons. Or patrons, rather.
Patrons of Patreon. Patrons of My Life in Gaming on Patreon. Thank you.
Yeah. So I thought it'd be fun to kind of take a look at your collection here and present to you a question.
Okay.
If this entire house was burning down and you had to grab 5 games, it doesn't have to be your favorite games, maybe your most sentimental games, most nostalgic games, or for other reasons, what games off of these shelves would you grab and then escape the burning house?
Well, first of all, there would be some advantages to this scenario because I would have no unfinished games anymore. My backlog would be 0, right?
Right.
So, but let's do hope this never happens. But one of the first things that comes to mind is Monster World 4.
You'd pick that, and you would pick that over this.
Yes, because Wonder Boy and Monster World, which, we both clearly love from, how it makes a cameo in so many of our episodes. It's almost a joke at this point.
Right.
Honestly, I'm not sure which of these 2 games I like better, but, it's a toss-up. I'm not a big Genesis guy. I like the Genesis. I've come to like the Genesis. It's certainly not one of my favorite systems because I didn't grow up with it. But Monster World 4 is a great, great game, and it also happens to be the most money I've ever spent on a game.
Okay.
So it just seems...
It's in great condition.
It's in great condition. It just seems like it would be a very wise choice to grab it. I've spent I want to say about $125. I set aside some money very specifically with explicit intent. I'm finally buying this game, and this is the only game I spent over $100 on.
It's a great game, man. Yeah. I love the cover. It's kind of like claymation.
That claymation sort of art. Yeah.
I'm just gonna hold on though.
Okay, just hold on to my most valuable games. If I was to stick with Genesis, why do I keep doing this?
I think maybe
I'm nervous about losing my games. It feels weird to pick 2 Genesis games, but Contra Hardcore with a box. I don't have the manual, but Contra Hardcore with a box is.
Is it your favorite Contra game?
It is up there. I'm a big Contra fan, and it's up there. It's good. It's a little bit different.
Yeah.
But it's so good. It's just, I keep repeating myself over and over, but it's so good. And I had a copy was given to me that was in really rough shape. As a gift. And the guy who gave it to me knew that I really wanted, it was his childhood copy, and he said, you can have it. And I said, well, thank you. Are you sure? And he said, but if you ever find a copy if you ever find a box copy, because I know that's what you're looking for, then, you can just pass it along. So I passed that along to another friend.
Right.
So I've got this box copy, and, it's going up in price. And it's a super good Contra game. And I would hate to lose this because even though it's maybe not one of the most valuable games I have, it's up there, but it feels like an important one. I think it was important to me to get this because this was honestly the number one reason I wanted Genesis in the first place.
Right, and it's never been released anywhere, so
it's never been released in any other format. Yeah, and honestly, to stick with the Contra theme, the Famicom version of Contra 1
really
is.
That's kind of a pricey game these days.
It's a little pricey. I spent about $50 on it 2 years ago, and I think it's gone up bit more than that even since then. This is so cool. Don't get me wrong. Ain't nothing wrong with good old NES Contra.
Right.
But they were released a month or 2 apart if memory serves. Actually, the US version came first. Very unusual in those days, I would say. And I don't know if that was why, but the Famicom version of Contra 1 has so much stuff that is not in the NES version.
Right.
It's got an opening cutscene, some cutscenes between levels, extended ending. It's got a map that shows you like the layout of the island and like the progression, like, and you like go through the snowfield, and then it shows going down into the alien core underneath the island. And
it seemed like such a more grand adventure.
Yes, but the most important changes are the added animations to some of the levels, and I like to sort of tease it in a lot of episodes, because I feel like I'm going to make some people go like, "Wait, what?" Because like in the first level, in the second half of the level, when the trees are closer to you, the palm leaves like wave in the wind. And the snowfield, there's snow like actually coming down.
Right.
But the best one is the alien layer, where the walls are just pulsating constantly in this really unique pattern. And like I've just not seen anything like it. It feels like the NES one is such a downgrade. So this is the one that I always play now, and it's good. I mean, you know, again, valuable, not necessarily the most valuable, but it's a good game. Always fun to co-op. That's always fun to co-op. So I would.
And now you're up to 3. So
yeah,
this is
I kind of moving.
unexpected choices.
Really, you think so?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting this.
Okay. Another one I would go for is Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers for the NES. Is this an expected choice?
Yes.
This is an expected choice. I wonder if it may not be expected for the reasons you think it is, though.
Not because it was the first game you ever beat.
That is in part of why. But, you know, a lot of people talk about how they have a sentimental attachment to specific copies of a game.
Right. I talk about that a lot.
And I do to some extent, but I feel like not as much. I don't experience that as much as some people do. Like, and maybe it's because I sold my NES collection at one point.
So this isn't your childhood copy?
It is.
Okay.
That is why. It's the only one. I gave this to my cousin when I got rid of my NES collection. And when my cousin got rid of her NES games, she gave them back to me. I kept the copies that I wanted. Some of these copies are hers because it was a good collection, and I had already bought some of those games used over the years, and frankly, hers were in much better condition.
Right.
So I swapped them out. Sold them. I mean, she could say I could sell what I didn't want. So I took the ones that were my copies that I say they were mine, but I bought them at Funko Land and online, and you know, they weren't as good a condition. So I feel good that a number of these, like, you know, Xanadu and whatnot, these were my cousin's copies. So, you know, they are in the family, so to speak. But this is the only game from my original NES collection that has managed to come back in my hands. Okay. So,
and it's a good one to come back in your hands.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's important to me for a lot of reasons. So, that would be it.
All right, final one.
Final one. Well, I have to admit, what comes to mind, maybe a little superficial, but got to go with. I don't know if this is the most valuable game I own. Earthbound. I mean, I only have card only. I mean, you know, it's worth like $200 or something. I got for $35 quite a long while ago, probably, I don't know, 99, 2000. If I had to guess, maybe 2001. You know, I just walked into a used game store. Do you have Earthbound? Yeah, pull it out of a drawer, $35. We actually drove by that store. It's a GameStop now, but we drove by that store on our way back from Too Many Games last month.
That's right.
So,
talking about that.
You know, Earthbound, I've actually played through the whole thing only once. I liked it. I liked it quite a bit. I wouldn't necessarily say it's one of my favorite games. It's definitely a unique style, and I really, really do want to replay it, and that might further solidify its stance among my collection. But it just comes to mind because it's valuable and it would be hard to reacquire. I do feel like if my house burned down, though, it would completely change my outlook on how important game ownership was to me and whether I really wanted to like get back into,
You wouldn't want to start all this over again.
So I couldn't start all this over again.
So that's kind of the reason you picked the more expensive one, is because if all this is gone, maybe you're just going to go all digital at that point.
Maybe so. And then maybe at that point, I would look at the games I chose and I'm thinking, why did I choose the valuable ones? Because it doesn't mean anything anymore. Because maybe I would go all digital, or maybe I'd go with EverDrives. I don't know what I would do. It would be drastic for sure. But I don't know. I mean, there would be a lot of regrets left behind.
See, out of all these, I feel like this is the only one.
The only one you expected? Well, I mean, I don't know if we have enough time, but like, if you real quick, what were some of the ones that you thought I might choose?
I thought that maybe you would pick, probably Mario 3.
Yeah, but I mean, again, dime a dozen. That's my boxed Mario 3. However, that's the better copy of Mario 3.
Yeah, well,
than the one that's inside that box.
What else would I think you'd pick?
But again, Mario 3, common, easy to get. I'm not necessarily attached to the specific copy.
All right, well, let's see. Maybe Ocarina of Time Gold Cart.
You would think maybe, but it would be. I mean, how much does Gold Cart go for these days? I mean, I've owned it since launch day,
like $60 or something. By itself.
I mean, I've owned it launch day. It's oddly a little fade. Got a little fade on the label.
You've got a lot of use out of it.
I have. I mean, I can't explain why that wouldn't necessarily be a priority. I can't imagine buying a gray card of it.
Oh, yeah.
I can't imagine buying a gray card of it, but I
probably can't of the Zelda 1 and 2 either. Like, imagine buying gray cards.
No, I can't imagine buying gray cards. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't know why that wouldn't be. None of those would be ones I would grab. Now, a bonus is I've got my cousin Zelda 2. This was my cousin's favorite game on the NES, Zelda 2. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't into the series at the time. But my cousin's NES is at my parents' house. There's an extra copy of Zelda 2 that always sits inside it.
That's cool.
So I get a free Zelda 2 if my house burns down, no matter what.
Well, these are definitely some unexpected choices. I think they're all pretty good. I definitely approve this.
Maybe a little superficial, considering a lot of it is based around value, but
that's kind of a cool approach. I would never have thought about that.
But so
that's it.
All right, well, hope you enjoy this. Maybe I'll travel to Coury sometime and we can do something similar with his collection.
Yeah, I think so. All right, thanks.